What's going on, everybody? This is the must-watch podcast recommendation for this week for everybody. If you guys get a chance, leave a comment under this because I'd like to know if you guys are using my recommendations or following the recommendations in that sense that you guys are actually watching some of the podcasts that I recommend. It would be cool to know. I don't know really if that's happening because, of course, I don't see any metrics on their podcast. I only see them on mine, and then I know people watched it, but I don't know if they watched the podcast I recommended, if you get what I'm saying. So hopefully everybody's enjoying their weekend. This weekend I've got Whitney, Webb, and Bilyeu. Bilyeu, a super podcast, and it's called Impact Theory. He's kind of backed off the interviews lately, which is kind of too bad. I don't like, he's doing like solo podcasts with one of the guys that works for him, which are also fun, but they're just not as cool as the interview ones. So this is like a gem nowadays. So Whitney Webb, if you guys know her, she wrote the book, The United States of Blackmail, and I think that's what it's called. Yeah, well, she is a great writer. Her website is Unlimited Hangout. You should go check her out, but definitely watch this podcast. They talk about what she thinks about Trump and what she thinks about Elon. She goes back on some of the Epstein stuff and goes over that, because she's done really deep dives into all these things, and she has a great way of connecting the dots, which, rightly so, makes her extremely skeptical of any kind of government, even Trump's. Now, she doesn't really dog Trump or anything like that. She just is kind of warning, like, look, Trump has ties to this, ties to that. He's a business guy. Of course, he's going to use it to his advantage to being the president at some way or another, which, to be totally honest, whether he does or doesn't, I don't really care as long as he's delivering for American people. You know what I mean? But the reason why I want you guys to watch is we do have to always remember, in general, at this time, governments in general, whether they're supposedly democratic or not, or autocratic or authoritarian, all of them are, at this time, generally the enemy of the people. The only administration that I see actually doing what government should be doing is the Trump administration at this time. And it's the first time in history I've ever seen it. So Whitney Webb is right to be skeptical of everything government, especially when the government partners up with so many tech people, AI, surveillance, mass surveillance, and right now I haven't seen any signs that Trump is going to do any of those things that's going to mass surveil the public. I'm sure that some of the tech bros that he's got on his team would love to be able to implement stuff like that. Just because they're part of the Trump team doesn't mean that they're going to be able to implement everything they want to. We all know that, even though the left would tell you differently, that that's not the case, that they're going to be able to get away with everything. They're not going to be regulated anymore. It's all going to go to shit. But Whitney Webb's warning is different. She is very cautious about CBDCs, mass surveillance like China, and what AI is going to do to us in the future when it becomes like artificial general intelligence. If that's going to start making decisions legally and governmentally, that could be a serious problem. And she is right about all those things. So she's a super interesting character, very smart, very detailed, and connects a lot of dots that other people missed. Other so-called journalists have never even gotten close to. She has gotten right on the money with a lot of those things, which is good. Very good, I would say. So go ahead and watch that. I'm going to put the link in the description below, as always. Again, people, if you're watching this anywhere other than Substack, you are unfortunately going to have to look for the video on your own, because links seem to be very difficult. TikTok doesn't accept links. Rumble, I can't figure out how to make links in the description. Even YouTube, for some reason, I cannot put links in the description. Maybe it's me, but either way, the best way to go is to subscribe to the Substack. If you're watching this for the first time, then go to it'sallaboutlogic.substack.com and subscribe there. Whether you do it for free or whether you do it for $5 a month, either one is fine. Of course, I would greatly appreciate the financial support if you do the $5 one. You also get some extra stuff, extra content that way. And all the articles that I write as well, which are also only available on Substack. So I would, if I were you guys, go there and subscribe. That way, clicking links is easier. Getting all my stuff in your inbox is easier. Everything is just easier. We can stay in contact much easier that way, so do it. Guys, go ahead and check out this podcast. Tom Bilyeu interviews Whitney Webb to give us the latest updates on the government dots to connect, which is very important to keep in mind. All right, have a great weekend, all.